Today I am going to give you the most valuable companies in the United States as of today, which is April 12th. Because sometimes, very rarely, but sometimes this list can change around just a little bit. So first, how do we gauge what are the most valuable companies and why does it even matter? We use a metric called market cap. It's one of the many measures out there, but we call it market cap. It's basically taking the number of shares that you have times the share price on that day, and boom, you get a very large number. You can also find this number on Yahoo Finance, and almost any investing app, it just tells you, boom, this is what the market cap is. It is not, no metric really, but it's not a metric where it's like, it has X amount in market cap, therefore I'm going to invest. I don't really look at it that way, but it is something that really says how valuable is this company, how solid is this company, and it can be somewhat of an indicator that, hey, they're not going bankrupt anytime soon. To get this high on the list, you're pretty solid. Now, I'll also say that just because you're this high on the list does not mean that you are guaranteed to be there over the next decade. For example, let's say you go back to 2005, before the Great Recession, after the dot-com boom, some of the companies that were at the top of the list back then, Walmart, Ford, GM, ExxonMobil, they ain't nowhere near the top 10 this go round. So it does tend to change over time. ExxonMobil was Apple before Apple. They were the largest company. They were one of the largest employers, and they used to pretty much run the stock market, and then things changed. So it does happen. But again, they're all on the list. They're just not at the top 10. So I think ExxonMobil may come in somewhere between, I think, 11 or 15, somewhere down there, but they're still on the list. So I'll give you the quick list, what I like about a few of them, and just kind of run through it. We'll start at number 10. Number 10 is Johnson & Johnson. That stock symbol is JNJ. They're quite known for dividends, but y'all know what they do. They're, a bunch of pharmaceutical stuff, the vaccine being one of them, diapers, all that kind of stuff. Y'all know what Johnson & Johnson is about. They are looking at doing a split where they do like pharmaceutical and like household care type of things. I don't know where that proposal is now. I don't currently own Johnson & Johnson. Personally, I don't care. They're in their own bucket. I think there are better returns in other places. That's just me. But Johnson & Johnson, they come in at number 10. They're quite solid, right? I think they've been around for like 100 years. So hey, they come in at top 10. They may still be around for quite a while. I think a lot of these companies will be. But again, this list is obviously subject to change. All right, moving up to number 9 is a company we have talked about before. I think it's a sneaky good stock to own right about now, because I've been talking a little bit about insurance companies. This one is United Healthcare. This is UNH. This is one I don't currently own, but I'm looking, right? I'm looking for candidates to replace a few that are in my portfolio come June, and United Healthcare is on that short list of companies that I might be looking to get into. And they've been solid for a while. It's I don't know why more people don't talk about it, because as you see, as we get further up into the list, you see everybody talks about these companies. You probably already know what's in at least the top 4 or 5. United Healthcare, it comes in at 9. I don't think enough people are talking about it, but it's a pretty good company, and they're in a business that they're definitely not going anywhere. I can't guarantee they're going to stay in the top 10 for forever, but they're not going anywhere. You're going to need health insurance. As long as that's going to be the case, United Healthcare is going to remain, I would imagine, one of the most valuable companies in the U.S. Next, as we move up the list to number 8, we have NVIDIA. That symbol is what is it? NVDA. I almost switched the letters around. They're a chip maker. They make the chips that go into phones, cars, video games, TVs, all that type of stuff. It used to be just a money printer where they were doing incredibly well and they almost could not lose. Now, in today's era where tech stocks aren't doing well, NVIDIA isn't doing all that well so far. Again, it is still early. We'll see what happens. Now, I am both a long-term investor in NVIDIA and I'm also a trader in NVIDIA. So when I say trader, I mean, getting in and getting out to make a little bit of money here and there. And then obviously, long-term investor, I've been in NVIDIA for years. So I do keep dollar cost averaging, but this is one of my favorite stocks to trade. So for me right now, and this will change as the market changes, when it drops down, let's say below $225 a share, right now it's at $219, I like to buy in that space and let it ride back up anywhere between $235 to like $260. It varies, right? But if you go look at any chart, you'll see that it drops down pretty low. You can get some there and then pops back up and just goes down and up, down and up, down and up. So I like to buy when it's low and sell when it is high. Everybody says that, but Nvidia is one of the easiest companies, at least for me, to trade and really kind of pick when I want to buy it, when I want to get rid of it, and take that money and go buy more tacos. That's just me. So that is one. But again, I own it where I'm holding long term. I'm dollar cost averaging, and then I have a little bit where I'm like trading and trying to do a bit more there. So we can talk more about trading later. But that's Nvidia. That's the only one that I trade on this particular list. Next is Meta, also known as Facebook. Depending on who you ask, that symbol is FB. Also hasn't done well for obvious reasons. We've talked about Facebook a lot when they were going through their scandals and what was going on there when they decided to change their name. But in either case, again, it's in that tech category. It's not doing well now. I still hold it in my personal retirement account, so my IRA. I don't intend on making any changes. I'm not opposed to making any changes come June, but we'll see what happens there. Most say that they still have a good long-term future if they can make the metaverse into what they think it could be. We'll see there. But for me, I'm neutral on it. I'll wait and see if there's something I can replace that could be better. But we'll also see. I mean, you don't get to, number 7 or 8 on the list, whatever number we're on now. You don't get that far on the list without being sustainable in terms of like having a good business model and being able to move. Now, they have a lot of things in the environment, privacy laws, better awareness of what's going on, their fight with Apple. We'll see there. Like, we'll see. So, that's just where they are. I got it now. I don't have to stick with it. I'm okay with moving on from Meta, so we'll see. All right, next on the list, this is number 6, so I guess Facebook was 7, is Berkshire Hathaway. Now, I have talked about this. I've mentioned it a few times. You can do Berkshire A or Berkshire B. Y'all get the point. But I think most of us are probably going to go with Berkshire B because it is like $300 or so, whatever it is. Berkshire, it is a conglomerate. I think a better term is a holding company, rather. I'll say that. Where they buy up large shares of other companies. Some might be on this list. For example, Berkshire Hathaway's largest position is Apple. Apple is on the list. Y'all probably know where Apple's on the list, but y'all get the point. It's done quite well this year, so it is something that if you haven't looked at it already, you might want to. I think it is in my Roth IRA, so that's one of the longer term holdings for me. My kids also own some shares of Berkshire Hathaway too. It's solid. It's run by Warren Buffett. I don't need to go too much further there. He knows what he's doing. He's been doing it for what feels like 100 years, 91. But it's a stock that it's in the right places for this particular market. It owns insurance companies. It has Apple. It's got a lot of what you need. Maybe not everything that you need, but it is what it is. It's Berkshire Hathaway. It's done quite well, and it's been doing quite well for a long time now. Now we're moving into the top 5. Tesla, a company I hold long term. I feel how I feel about Elon Musk, which is not great, and his whole handling of Twitter, not a fan of it, but whatever. The car company is doing pretty good. Y'all know Tesla, TSLA. Y'all also know that it is obviously more valuable at this point in time, more valuable than Ford and GM. I think Chrysler combined, if I'm not mistaken. Look, electric's going to be the next wave. There are some concerns with Tesla. I think they're going to be fine, but at some point, the competition is going to close the gap to some degree, right? I don't think they're going to be like right now when you think electric cars, most people think Tesla and absolutely nothing else. That's not going to remain for forever. It's one of the reasons I invested in Ford. So far, the investment is okay, but we'll see once the chip shortage loosens and is resolved, we'll see how things shake out for the other manufacturers in the auto industry. That does not mean that if Ford and GM start to creep up the list, doesn't necessarily mean that Tesla falls. But right now, Tesla is primarily luxury. That's what they do. They don't have any models, to my recollection, that are just like, hey, affordable, regular family cars. That's what Ford does, right? That's what GM does. So we'll see how that may change. But that's going to be years into the future, if you ask me. All right, next on the list, we have number 4, which is Amazon. Y'all know Amazon. It ain't done well in the last year, which is surprising to me. I think they might be getting a little thin. in terms of like they do a lot. They've got their Amazon Web Services. They've got what you know is Amazon Prime and like delivering those products. They did have some good news with the union. I believe that was in New York, Staten Island to be specific, if I remember correctly. They got a lot going on. We'll see. I do hold some shares of Amazon on public. We'll see what goes on there. I'm not married to Amazon either. But I don't think I imagine myself getting rid of it come June. We're going to have to find out what happens in December of 2022. I say that because at that point, if they don't do well, it would have been like 2 years in a row. And again, I feel like I can find something that might be doing a little bit better. So that's not a buy Amazon or don't buy Amazon. I'm just telling you what I feel about it right now and what may be moving and shaking in my portfolio at that point in time. So we'll see for Amazon. Next, as we move into the top three, you've got Google. We talked about Google. GOOGL is the one with voting rights. GOOG does not. I don't think it really matters. I think, don't quote me on this, I think GOOG has gained just a tiny bit more, but again, to me it don't matter. You got the company, Personally, I own GOOG, and it's just the one I had, I just roll with it, okay? But it is one of my favorite companies for all the things that they do in terms of search, maps, Android, Chromebook, list goes on. Definitely one of my favorite companies, and it's one of the companies. I think once you get in the top three, is the companies that where I say I ain't selling, right? So I might get to a point where I can sell Amazon. I'm okay with selling Facebook. I ain't selling Google, okay? I'm also not selling number 2 on this list, which is Microsoft, MSFT. I've waxed poetically about that one for quite a while. It was one of my favorite stocks. We talked about the metaverse. I put that list out a while back on Instagram and on Twitter. It ain't going nowhere. And then that brings us to number 1, which you probably knew already, is Apple. They are worth more than $2 trillion with a T. Yes, as of today, $2.7 trillion, the most valuable company in the world, and definitely the United States. Apple gonna be Apple, okay? And for the time being, they're not going nowhere. So it's one of my long-term holdings again. It ain't going nowhere. 1, 2, and 3, Apple, Microsoft, and Google. I'm not selling no time soon. The others can be up for debate. We'll see. I don't plan on selling Nvidia for my long-term holding Nvidia, but you know, a year, 2 years from now, there might be a discussion. Right, it might be a discussion, but for these three, that's not going to be the case, and for reasons we've talked about on the channel before. Now, last thing I want to leave you with when we talk about market capitalization, I always jumble that word, is this. Another reason why it's important is for comparison purposes. So, for example, you could look at Berkshire Hathaway, right, and say Berkshire Hathaway is $524,000 a share, or whatever it is, right? And then you can look at something like a Microsoft and say, well, Microsoft is, I don't know, $200 or $300. This one is $500,000. Therefore, Berkshire Hathaway, if I'm looking at stock price alone, which you should not do, but if you are, you're thinking, well, this one is more valuable because the share price is higher. Therefore, I want to buy Berkshire Hathaway and not Microsoft. When in reality, Microsoft is the second most valuable company in the US. Microsoft might be a better investment in most cases. Now in 2022, I'm buying with Berkshire Hathaway, right? Either A or B class, doesn't matter. In this year, I'm going to roll with Berkshire Hathaway. But if you had to ask me next 5 or 10 years, I'm probably going to go with Microsoft. This also happens for, think of a Tesla that is, not today, it's like almost $1,000 a share, like $986 a share. And let's say a Johnson & Johnson, which is only about $180 a share as of today. Again, you could just look at it and say, well, Tesla's automatically more valuable just based on the share price, which today it is, right? Tesla is number 5 on the list compared to number 10. But again, just because it's higher on the list doesn't make it more valuable, and it does not mean it's a better investment. Market cap can kind of encapsulate that a bit more. A better example at this point in time, we can take, let's say Apple. This is a great example here. Apple is about $170 a share, whereas Amazon is $3,000 a share, and Tesla is almost $1,000 a share. So if I'm looking at stock price alone, I could be thinking, well, Amazon is $3,000. Maybe it's more valuable and a better investment. Maybe Tesla's more valuable and a better investment. And that's not necessarily the case. Market cap takes the amount of shares that are out there and shows you that Apple is the most valuable of the companies that I named. That does not make it in and of itself a better investment. Okay, does not make it a better investment. I would not use market cap in that way, but it does give us some context. The other thing that I'll mention too about market cap is that it gives you not just some sense of stability, but it gives you a liquid market. I know for a fact, right, that the majority of index funds, whether it's in your 401k or your favorite ETF, it's gonna have something in this top 10 in there, especially if you own VOO, SPY, QQQ. It's gonna have the majority of this top 10. I've showed you guys this before, especially if it's a tech fund. It's gonna have Amazon, Microsoft, Tesla, Meta, Nvidia. It's gonna be them 5 off the top, right? And it wouldn't shock me if 25 to 30% of that ETF of your 401k is going to be in some way tied to any of these top 10 names, but definitely those 5 that I mentioned. So it just kind of gives you context as to why some of these funds are so tied to how Apple does, tied to how Facebook does, tied to how Google does, or even Microsoft, because of those things. So those are the top 10. I'll read them off again real quick from the bottom to the top. You got Johnson & Johnson, United Healthcare, Nvidia, Facebook, Berkshire Hathaway, Tesla, Amazon. I'm trying to do it without looking at the screen. Amazon, Alphabet, which known as Google. We've got Microsoft, and then we've got Apple. So those are the top 10 most valuable stocks, or most valuable companies, rather. You can argue whether it's most valuable stocks, but in either case, top 10 most valuable companies. Let me know which ones you own, which I feel like a lot of us own at least 3 of these, at least. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to get to the rest of this week. I've got some grade your portfolio videos that I need to do, I want to do. We got to stop having breaking news. So hopefully I can get to those definitely Friday, if not sooner. If you have any other questions, comments that you want me to discuss and break down, feel free to put those in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all the YouTube-y things that are out there. And that's it for me. I'll talk to y'all later.